The Wife of Bath's tale transports us to a distant era when King Arthur ruled the land, and elves roamed freely, often engaging in mischief. However, the wife quickly digresses, noting that friars have now replaced the elves, becoming the malevolent, lustful spirits of the age. During King Arthur's reign, one of his knights, while returning home from hawking, encountered a maiden walking alone and raped her. This grave crime typically warranted the death penalty, but in court, the Queen intervened. She pleaded with her husband to spare the knight's life, promising to do so if he could answer the question, "What do women most desire?" She gave him 1 year to discover the answer. The knight embarked on a quest, but struggled to find a satisfactory response. Some said wealth, others jollity, some status, and others a good lover in bed. Despondent and fearing he might fail, the knight rode beside a forest on his way home, and saw a group of 24 dancing ladies. As he approached, they vanished, leaving behind a hideous old woman, the lowly lady. He asked her his question, and she agreed to give the correct answer, but only if he promised to fulfill her next request. When the knight agreed, she whispered the answer in his ear. Upon returning to court, the knight told the Queen that women most desire to have sovereignty and mastery over their husbands. The lowly lady then revealed herself, reminding the knight of his promise, and demanding he marry her. Though pardoned, the knight was miserable at the prospect of marrying such an old crone, but he had no choice. The next day, the knight privately wed the lowly lady, and they lay in bed. Seeing his unhappiness, she confronted him. He criticized her for being old, ugly, and low-born. She dismissed his snobbery and defended her poverty as irrelevant to God. Then she offered him a choice. He could have her as an old and ugly but faithful wife, or as a young and beautiful wife, who might cuckold him. The knight sighed deeply, thought for a moment, and finally told his wife to choose whatever would bring them both the most honor. "Then have I gotten mastery over you," she said, and the knight agreed. The lowly lady asked him to kiss her and lift the curtain to look upon her face. She had transformed into a young and beautiful woman. They lived happily ever after. The wife concludes by wishing that Christ grant all women submissive husbands, who sexually satisfy their wives, and that he strike down all men who refuse to be governed by their wives.